Be'ezer Hashem, Parshas B'Shalach, Tovshin Pei Daled. Famous Zgula from Mann to say Parshas Mann, Tuesday Parshas B'Shalach, really originates from the Yerushalmi, that whoever says Parshas Mann B'chol Yom, Muftach Lo Mezonosav, Lo Yechsru Mezonosav Lo'elam, that if you say the Parshas Mann every day, then a person will have Parnassah, for sure, Muftach Lo. It's a haftocha that you're going to have mezonos. You're never going to be missing anything. So the Or HaMeir, from the Wolf from the Talmud from the Maggid, and the Sefer discusses the question that many people have. How could it be? He says, L'chore yesh l'tmoya. It's a wonder. Eineinu rois rabim v'chein shleimim. We see many people that they say Parshas Mann every single day, and most of them don't have a penny to their name. That's what he asked the question. How does that work? The Yerushalmi says that you have a haftacha, you're promised that if you say Parshas Mann every day, you're not going to be missing anything. Not only are they missing the extras, most of them are missing basics. They're not making ends meet. They're totally not managing. So he continues on to say, so we're forced to say, it's not just about saying it, lip service. Mainly, the Zgul of Parshas Mann is that a person should strengthen themselves. That means he shouldn't say that Hashem can't just make food or shefa or abundance come down from Shemayim. He has to understand that the Rebbeinu Shem gives Parnassah. So he goes on to explain that people do all kinds of funny things for Ishtadlus. They run around, Pam bachutz, Pam barachoy, and they forget from the Rebbeinu Shalom. And they don't understand that they're supposed to just put their trust on Hashem. And Hashem is going to give them whatever they need. Parshas Mann is so a person should work on themselves to change the insides, to understand that the Ishtadlus is only what the Rebbeinu Shem wants me to do, but Parnassah is in the hands of Hashem. Now, earlier, in that shtickle of Or HaMeir, he explains that in Lashon Kodesh the word bitochen has three words. Same shoyrish, the same root. Mavtiach, Boiteach, and Miftach. You see in the middle there? Mavtiach, Boiteach, Miftach. Mavtiach is the one that promises you. Boiteach is the one that gets the promise. So if Hashem promises you, Hashem is the Mavtiach. If you trust in Hashem, you're the Boiteach. What is Miftach? It says Miftach is the promise. Miftach is how the Mavtiach is conveying, how am I giving you that promise? So that's the miftach. What is he trying to bring out? So the Or HaMeir explains that if a person gets Parnassah a certain way, certain specific mahalach, so the source of his Parnassah, if he sells shoes, the source of his Parnassah is the miftach. That's the tziner, that's how it's getting to him. Hashem is promising to give him food. He's getting the food, but it's going through selling shoes. So he explains that a regular person, what usually happens is that a person starts to rely on this specific mahala, because he sees that selling shoes, he got it. He figured out what to sell on Amazon and how to sell it. That's the miftach. That means he figured out what type of what item people need and how he should label it. That's the miftach. So the Rameir goes on to explain Baruch Hagever Asher Yiftach B'Shem, and then it says V'hoya Hashem Miftachai. Why does it repeat itself? Because Baruch Hagever Asher Yiftach B'Shem is that I should remember that the Rebbeinu Shalom promised, and the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to give me food. But V'hoya Hashem Miftachai, that's the main part. That means the Miftach part, how it's coming to you, if you could put Hashem into the Siva, that's when a person be'emes is relying on Hashem. That's the famous Yisod of Chayvus Halvavos, that a person shouldn't be relying on a specific Siva, feeling that if I have this Parnassah, I'm going to have what I need. If I lose this job, then I won't have nothing to do with the job. It's just used as a vessel. It's just being used as a tool from the Rebbeinu Shem how to give you Parnassah. It doesn't work that way. The Rebbe should give you any other way. That's the Yesod of Parshas Hamon. If we try to zoom in a little bit into Parshas Hamon, that's really the concept, because what's the difference between how we get Parnassah in today's days and how the Yidden got Parnassah in the Midbar? The difference is that the Yidden in the Midbar didn't really have so much levush, covering the abundance. It's just you got it the way it is, raw. Mon min hashamayim. And that's why you were able to taste any type of Michael that you wanted, because it wasn't yet limited. It wasn't processed. It's like raw shefa, without any covering. We, today's day and age, it goes through another level, until when it gets to us, it already went through, and it looks more gashmi. It's more materialized. We know Rashi brings that the Rebbeinu Shem said, I want you to save someone, kach tzintenes achas. So it should always be as a reminder that really it's only a cover-up, but the Rebbeinu Shem is continuing to give us Mann. The system didn't change. It's just that the Rebbeinu Shem wants us to uncover the coverings and realize that it's the same like it was, that the Rebbeinu Shem, Hashem is just giving us Shefa and relying totally on Hashem. And disregarding which mahalach they wish to use, it doesn't make much of a difference. This person helped me, and then the other person helped me, and then a check came in, and then there was a refund. That's the concept. There's a Gemara Masechtas Brachos Daf Mem Ches Amud Aleph. The Gemara says, from what age could a child be part of Zimun? That means if he's the third one, so they could also say he's not yet Bar Mitzvah. So the Gemara says, if he knows Lemim Avorchen, if he knows to whom he's thanking Hidoya, then if he understands the concept, that is Hashem. So the Gemara says a story. Abaye v'Rava v'Yasir kamei der Rabba. They sat in front of their Rebbe. Rabba was there, and they were children. So the Rebbe wanted to test them if they're old enough. And they chaf what it is. So he asked them, Lemim avochem, to whom are we benching? So they told him, L'Rachmona, to God, to Rebbe, to Hashem. So he asked, V'Rachmona heiche Yosef. He says, where's Hashem? So the Gemara says, Rava achvi l'shmei tlala. Rava pointed up to the roof, to the ceiling. Abaye nofak libra, he went outside, and he showed up to the sky. Achve l'klape shmaya. So there's a beautiful explanation from the Shinner in Divrei Yecheskel. It's printed in Divrei Yecheskel in the back. It's ala Torah, but then in the end of the Sefer it has on Shas. So by Brachas from Ches, Divrei Yecheskel says, what's the difference? Why did the Rava show to the ceiling and Abaye pointed it up to he went outside and pointed up to the sky? He says, because Abaye was a Yosem. Abaye didn't have parents. So a regular person gets the abundance that goes through process. That means, how do I get it? I get it through parents, which the parents got it from Hashem, and then they spoon feed the person. But Abaye didn't have parents. So the Avi Yisraelim takes care of them directly. So he went out and he showed up to the sky. Beautiful explanation in this Gemara. So, not long ago, I sat with Yisraelim and I learned this Gemara. And I told them this, the Yecheskel, they should know how close they are directly to Hashem. So the person that's in charge of these Yisraelim he met me afterwards and he told me that they were a choshev a bochrim. They were debating and they were discussing this concept. And they were saying that, we also have a emtsoi. It's not directly. We're not getting mon. It means some way or another, there's someone that has an organization or that's money. It's also. So what's the difference? So when a person is in the matzav, it's the Yisayim's question. So the one that's in charge of them, he came over to me and he told me, I checked up the Devi Cheskel inside and I looked carefully how he explains it and I saw, he says a one word different. It means they also have that it goes through, gets processed, but every time different. And that's a bomb. If someone has their parents or whatever it is, so it's always coming to say there's a system. If it's just, what happens if it's a system? If it's a system, then you feel that this is what's giving me. But if the pshat is, they were just taking care, even though it goes through Reuven, Shimon, but being that every time it's different, what happens? The one that's accepting it, the one that's being makabel, is realizing quicker that it's Hashem taking care of him, because every time it's a chiddush. Fascinating. That explains us the concept of the Chavis Avavas and of the Oira Meir. That when a person is constantly getting it from the same source, what's going to happen is his bitachon is going to get rusty, because it's a given. It's not only because it's a given; it's because I see this as the source. It means we open the sink, and that's what's giving us water. So you're not anymore thinking about the reservoir and the clouds and the rain. Why? Because it's the sink. But every time once it's the sink, it's the Wasserträger. There's a word in English for that. Water carrier. He's bringing it, and then the spring one, and then you all of a sudden you're traveling and you're looking for a cup of water, and so every time it's different, then you start remembering the Rebbe Hashem is providing me. Every time He's providing me in a different way. So this on its own is such a beautiful concept that if we look back, not so many years, you're going to constantly see how Hashem is playing, making sure that it's never stable. If it's
look there, it's Mitzrayim. They always have the water from the Nilus.
Fascinating. The pasuk says in Eretz Yisrael, water is not like in Eretz Mitzrayim. In Eretz Mitzrayim is a Nilus. So it works always the same way, and you know that it's there. You're confident. You never have to think about it. Israeli children stand by the window in the rain, singing "V'sein Talmud Lavracha." They get all excited. Be'emes, they get excited. It's raining. For most of the year, it doesn't rain b'chlal. And then the winter, you need Rachma Shemayim, and we daven. So the pasuk says, it's not like Mitzrayim. No, here you daven, but lo motor, you do mitzvahs, there's rain. Eretz Yisrael, ein Hashem elekecha bo. The Eibishter created it in the Mahalach that always things should be changing. And you just look back a couple of years now, there's a recession actively going on in America. And maybe they're not using the term officially, but it's like my friend told me, he asked someone that's in the construction field if it's slow. He said, it's not slow. Nothing going on. Not slow. This is a garnish. It's closed. No one buying, no one selling. Why? What's the difference? Because they put up the interest there. Well, it's not Mishana. Why? Because of inflation. Why? Because of Corona. Go back. But it doesn't make a difference. It's constantly. And the same is all over the world. Here is a Mulchama, and here is no airlines working. It doesn't make a difference what Hashem is going to use as a tool to constantly make sure that it's not stable. What's not stable? The Rebbe Hashem is stable. Always doesn't change. Just there's a bedavka that the mahalach, how the miftach should change. they have today that certain codes, when people have certain codes, if it's important on computers or whatever it is, that it's not, it keeps on changing. You know what I mean? Yeah, even how do you say from a computer? No, the address of a computer, IP. It keeps on, people that don't want, they should know from which computer they're logging in from. It keeps on changing. You can't track it down.
Even though it's the same computer.
Yeah. The Rebbeinu Shem is giving us Parnassah, but the Rebbeinu Shem is officially, that's the Mahalach. That, you know what that's doing to us? This unstableness is making it closer to Mann. If it would be the same Mahalach for 100 years, it doesn't change, this is how it is, then it would be further away from the Mann. Why? Because the levush, the covering, will be so strong. It will be like so simple. Of course, this is the Mahalach. Don't do this for Parnassah, do something else for Parnassah, and you'll have money. The Mishnah in Sof Masechtas Kedushin that says, Ein ashirus va'anius mino umnus. Being rich or poor, it doesn't have to do which profession you have. Because you have people that are in the same line, that are making a dime. There are people that are in this line that they struck it rich. You could explain it. It's go look around. So a person should chap that they should want it to be like that. So a person shouldn't put their whole bitochen on the covering. That's the yisoid of the Dvorim. And that's Parnassah Mann, Tzintzena Mann. If you find yourself that the job is not working anymore and this is not a Parnassah anymore, it comes like that. That means the Rebbeinu Shem wanted it to be like that, and Hashem is going to shake up every area constantly, and maybe He's going to continue giving you Parnassah. It's just about that you shouldn't rely on a certain miftach, because it has to be V'ya Hashem miftach. The question is, how could a person on their own try to be Mekayim V'ya Hashem miftach, even without being shooken up that Hashem is showing him? Because the tachlis is not to be vulnerable. The pshat is, the tachlis is that you should be with the right understanding. You should have the right feelings. If a person could be matzliach, that even though they're in a certain line, that means they're selling this item, whatever, if they could remember that it's the Rebbeinu Shem for real inside, that means they're not just saying it, then Hashem sometimes could let it continue for years because there's no point. The Ikki is the Chnish, the Ikki is that you should remember. So what would be Eitzes, how to not fall asleep on the job and get connected emotionally to this and this Mahalach of Hatzlacha? So this is constantly reviewing psukim and davening, but let's discuss a different Eitzah, an interesting one, that sometimes it's important to stress, not always we chap. In the world of business, or any type of mahalach of earning money, it could be business, it could be services that I give, anything. There are many times little details which are true, but let's call it in the Chochmas Chaim world. What would be a good word instead of, that means in the life experience world, but it's a true, nothing wrong. Yeah. That you could listen to a course, you could try to understand on your own from life experience, talk to people that have experience, and they would give you a whole lineup of what the do's and don'ts, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Makes sense? A Chocham tries to get that information. That mahalach is no problem to it, but there's a danger to it, not a problem. What's the danger? That many times when a person gets involved of how to do it right, along with that's why I'm calling it danger, not a problem. Along with that, it's very possible that a person should feel like I can make it happen. Because I learned the tricks of the trade. I learned the secret. Now I know. Especially if they do it and they're successful. And they don't do it and they're not successful. So now they know. Let's give the most clean example, the most simple. A person heard this concept, this idea, and he tries and it works. He tries it again and it works. So what's wrong? It's the chazoi good, right? But then it comes along with feeling like I figured it out. Okay, now I know already. And which is not necessarily true. So let's try to dig into this concept. Why is it like that there's a danger that comes along? Doesn't it make sense that true pieces of information should bring a person closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom? If I'm a Malamed, what does Hashem want from me? That I should learn from people that have experience, or I should just, in the dark, try to see if I can figure it out on my own and say, of course Hashem wants me to learn. And there's nothing different in any area that I'm trying to do it right. If I open up a grocery, and they're teaching me, they're telling me all kinds of, I wouldn't call it tricks, ideas what to sell, how to sell, and the grocery is like very verzeitisch, it's like very backdated, but on Amazon, let's talk in today's day and age. So we're not talking about anything to do with avlas, we're talking about stam. There's certain techniques. Let's try to get to the bottom of it. It sounds, if you listen to someone that's giving you techniques and he's not using now tricks, how to get somebody, he's telling you normal techniques. What's the source why these techniques work? Al pi Torah. What's the reason why? I'm going back to the grocery because it's easier. He just opened up a grocery and he sees the people who are not comfortable. He goes to someone and he tells them, listen, it's big or it's a small grocery? He said, it's like a small, it's like for the shchuna, or for the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood, small makolet. He tells him, let me tell you something. You have to have a personal connection with the people. That means you know who likes spelt and who usually comes on Thursdays late and you put away for them. Get to know them. Get to know your clientele, but really emotionally. And he starts to do that, and people like to come back. And it's starting to, he's better, he's earning more. Why is that? Where's Hashem in this picture? Yeah, but what? The Eibishter gave him that das, and a chanami. But any technique that works, if there's nothing wrong with it, the pshat is that the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted you to have in zin in your clients, and you're closer to the truth. And that means you're supposed to be doing that. Just you were busy with your money, but lemaisa, smiling to the people and telling them you don't have money, you'll bring next time at Hashem. And you see this little girl coming in, you know from which family she is. And you're telling her, I know what you need. No, your mother doesn't like this type. I'm going to show you what you need. Is that what he's supposed to be doing? Of course. Now he's a better person, so it's working. The system is working. So we need to understand that in all different areas, grocery is a simple dogma. But if I'm doing it right, and I'm learning from life experience how to do it right, let's say I sell clothing, and every winter I have a winter sale. What could be toileting about it? It's like stam. For Pesach, I'm not making a sale, right? Because everybody's buying. Before Sukkot, I'm not making a sale. But there's like these months, there's nothing going on. So Shvat, usually you make is a 20% off. Alligators. So that's what someone told him he should do. It makes sense. There's nothing wrong with it. If he hikes up the prices before Pesach, that weiß ich nicht. But if Pshat is, he's saying, come now, you're going to get it for cheaper. Don't wait for the last minute. Early bird special. If you go to the bottom of it, there's nothing wrong. If he needs a cash flow, And he has to now order schoida for before Pesach. A lot of money he has to put in the order. So he's taking people, he's giving them an incentive that they should buy right now. What's wrong? Not only what's wrong, it's nicht genug. The pshat is, if you're using techniques, go to the bottom of it. Where's the Rebbeinu? Where's the yashris? Where am I? It's nothing to do with the money. It makes sense to do such a zach, to give people an incentive that they should do it now instead of waiting to the last minute rush. Many such different techniques, which make sense.
Baruch Hu wants the people to get cheaper clothes.
Yes, the Baruch Hu wants them to have cheaper clothing. Now you always have to be able to be out of the box, and sometimes for Yosem before Pesach, it's fine. That the Gemara says Masechtas Tain is Abu Umna. He put a box there and he says whoever can't pay. That means you have to be able to constantly refine the klolim that you have, that it should be for the rotzen from the Rebbeinu Shleim. But here let's get to an akuda. Under this, there's a connection between Chochmas Chaim life experience and rotzen from the Rebbeinu Shleim, how to bring the Shefa to the world. They're connected. There's a line that connects them. Let's explain. The Eibusher could send us Mann, no covering at all, nothing being master. The Eibusher could have you sell clothing. If you sell hats, whatever you sell, that's a levush, that's covering up. You try to do that better, so you go around from shchuna, from neighbor to neighbor, saying I'm going to be Tuesday by you. You're advertising. Tuesday I'm being in the city, whoever wants. You're using techniques from the Chochmas Chaim world, from the life experience world. Do this, do that. If you could draw the line between the Chochmas that you're learning there with the Rebbeinu Shleim, that it makes sense that I should be doing that because I'm helping the world by doing these techniques, that is helping you take off the covering. If you're not going to draw the line, you're adding to the covering. Why? Because you figured it out. Free delivery. The Rebbeinu Shleim wants free delivery. I'm telling you. Mothers with children, the Rebbeinu wants you to do free delivery. So many different details in all areas. That means that techniques that are beseder are not only that there's nothing wrong because I'm allowed to earn money or I could give incentive to people. No, it's deeper than that. You're doing something more closer to the emes. It means you're taking off the covering. You're doing that. You're taking off the covering. You're thinking, how could I serve people better? How could I make it more pleasant? Today's days and age, you could shop different, online, all kinds of mahalchim. If the Yesod Advarim is to help the client and to make them have they call a shopping experience. Many times you have to go to the mall to have a shop. But I'm saying the Yesod Advarim, then the pshat is that you are doing your shlichus better. And when you do your shlichus better, what's happening is you're allowing the shefa to go smooth to them and to you. It's a shtick like I'm a spal bat chaveri v'utzorach lo yisedav u'nena tchila. That means, that's how this form explain it. If you have a grocery and nobody can find anything, everything is turned over, and you invested money and time and effort to redesign the whole, today they would call it to redesign the site. Yeah, it's so masuda, fruits and vegetables, everything is redesigned. So he could find it easier. So you could find it easier. That means the shefa, you're making it more smooth. And the Malamed is learning techniques in chinuch. So the idea that we're trying to understand is, the more I chap why what I'm doing is right, not why what I'm doing is going to make me earn more money. I know that that's why you went to the professional to give you. It means you went to someone that he takes over your business, he takes a few $1,000s, and he runs it for you. He keeps on doing this with it. Gewaldig. If he's understanding, like I once spoke to a person, that's his Parnassah. His Parnassah is that he runs people's businesses for them. And I had a meeting with him, and he told me that people don't want to acknowledge that if they want to just sit at home and Sunday not, okay, it's Sunday, but Monday they have a yard site and Tuesday they have a trip. That means they don't really want to work very hard. That Eibishter doesn't want you to sit around. Eibishter, there's many nekudas which the yoyed, the advisor, that he knows that you can't earn like this. You have to be serious about it. But b'shoirish, many of them is because the Eibishter wants you to be serious, not because he wants you to make more money. Eibishter wants it to be makabel all, and not just today I'm staying in bed. That kind of matter. So drawing the line between the techniques and Chachmas Chaim with why that's what the Eibishter wants me to do is something that takes away the covering. It's closer. It's more doime to the Mann. Why? Because I see that the mahalach that the Eibishter wants me. I see the mahalach the Eibishter wants. Another step, that the other half of the course, which is not true, that means if the person says, hey, then I'm not doing, that's like when the guy says by the course, okay, just before the guy has time to think, ask if he wants to pay by credit card or by check. Make sure, all kinds of, if a person makes sure not to do those mahalachim. So what is he doing? He's saying, I'm not going to be making more money. He's taking off the covering. It's a come to Mann schwer. It's not easy for him not to, but that's what he's doing. And that's the compliments. It means that if you're constantly focused on trying to see the behind the covering.
Shabbos is the big
Makor from Shefa, because you can't rely on anything on Shabbos. There's a Yesoid in the Sefer Tzemach Tzedek from the Lubavitcher Rebbe in his Sefer Derech Mitzvah. The Sefer Derech Mitzvah of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Friedrich Tzemach Tzedek, is on the mitzvahs. Derech Mitzvah means he explains reasoning behind this mitzvah, that mitzvah. So, interestingly, in this mitzvah of Tiglachas Metzoira, he gets to this concept of Ishtadlus, and he says something so simple, but so the clarity behind it is gewaldig. He says like this: the reason why the Rebbeinu Shlem set up a mahalach of Ishtadlus is because the Eibush is mastir shefa elekusoi. That means he wants it to look like it's a Dora Teva. So we're going to read like 2-3 lines. He says, when here's the Nakuda. A person can't say, I'm not doing Ishtadlus. Why not? So he explains, because the Eibishter wants there should be a levush. The Eibishter doesn't want that the abundance should come raw, like the Mann. That was in that tkufa. But today's day and age, the Eibishter doesn't want it to be nisim gluyim. He wants it should go through a process. So many people ask, so when do I know if I did enough Ishtadlus? So he gives a very interesting Hagdorah. He says, if you did a type of Ishtadlus, that the Teva Ha'olam, it's possible to earn an amount of money, then it's a levush toif. Why is it a levush toif? So listen to a lashon from the Tzemach Tzedek. Sha'arei yecholim loymar koichi v'oitzim yodi osali yisachayel hazeh. It's very deep. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants a covering. What's called a covering? Something that it's possible to make the mistake that it's me, and then don't make that mistake. If you're not doing a Ishtadlus, that it's going to be possible that it should be a toes, a mistake of Koich HaVeitzim Yodi, then you're not doing the Ratzon from the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's the Hagdorah that he gives. Because the Rebbeinu Shalom wants this birur. The Rebbe wants you to go through this fight of it's the Rebbeinu Shem's Chochmah, it's the Rebbeinu Shem's Shefa, and it's not me, and it's possible to think that it's me. Now let's go back to what we said about the techniques. Person comes to a job and he's just pushing buttons, he knows nothing about what he's doing. So it's not called Radish Tadlis. You know why? Because you can't make a mistake that it's you. You're MrShlamazel.com. You can't even make a mistake. So you must learn the techniques. You have to be very serious about it. Sai by learning the techniques, Sai also with being serious about the work. Then it's also true, it's also right, it's also smooth. And then you have the fight to say, it's not the pshat because I'm so smart. It's bichlal not because I knew what to do. It's just because what lies behind it that is something that the Rebbe wants it to work that way. Not easy. But we have no way around it. That's where the Rebbe wants us to fight. He doesn't want us to be on this side or the other side. So there's a sincereness hamon, and a person has to constantly try and constantly do, and then work to be able to be in the Shvil Hazov. Okay.